Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the Tomatolito Show. And we're going to do a brief recap. Let's talk briefly about what we saw yesterday between Daniel Dubois and Joyce. Awesome matchup. A lot to look forward to in this match, and they both delivered. Amazing boxing on both sides, great technique on both sides, and we look at Daniel Dubois. I had picked Dubois as the younger, stronger, more explosive fighter to pull his victory out. I wasn't giving much of a chance to Joyce for numerous factors, and I end up eating my words, right? Joyce ends up shocking everybody. A lot of people were pulling for Joyce, but not everybody thought that he could pull off this victory with such an up and coming young prospect. Daniel Dubois, to me, still sits as the better boxer of the two, better schooled, better technique, better movement, sits down on his punches, a lot of power behind those punches. And yesterday, I think what the biggest factor that I walked away with, amongst the numerous things, right, that I'll mention here, but one of the biggest things was the age. The age factor, to me, I was seeing it as a positive for Dubois and a negative for Joyce, who is the older of the two fighters. And instead, the age did play a factor in the fight, but not to what I was expecting. The maturity of Joyce, the experience of Joyce ended up becoming the key factor. We saw Daniel Dubois right off the bat delivering great combos, great punching power. When he was very successful when he was delivering his combination starting at the body and coming up with a looping left hook or right overhand power punch to the head. And so the way that he was working his combos were good. He had problems from the very onset of the fight adjusting to the distance and the height difference, that the inches that Joyce had over him. Joyce, his experience, his composure, played true to his age. He stuck to the plan. He fights tall, which is rare. Most of the taller fighters tend to have this thing where they end up wanting to fight smaller and engage the smaller fighters and fight within the pocket. The experience of Joyce kept them composed. He stayed within plan. He fights tall, and he uses every inch to his advantage. He uses his jab, a long-reaching jab in which he was able to set the pace from the very onset, from the very moment that the fight got underway. He immediately shows up with the left jab and immediately lets Dubois know this is where the fight's going to happen. He gauges his distance fairly well and stands very tall, never giving way. Also, the height ended up helping him a lot as Dubois would come in with the combinations, as I was mentioning, and the power punching behind his hooks, behind his body shots. The body shots he was being successful with. Now, when his combinations would take the punches up towards Joyce's head, that's when the height came into played a factor on Joyce's advantage, where he was able to roll with those punches quite often, lean back and roll, diminishing the damage that he was taking from those punches. I feel like on and on throughout the rounds, as the fight kept getting into the middle rounds and as it started getting towards the second half of the fight in the later rounds, I think this started playing with Dubois's mind. Those combos, the power, those punches that he delivered on Joyce. In the fourth, I believe, in the sixth, he had some really good punches that he delivered. Those combos and punches and the approach, that explosiveness that Dubois brings, has transitioned and translated to knockouts in his experience. 14 of his 15 prior opponents he's defeated by way of knockout because of this power and this very same explosiveness in which he approached the fight with yesterday. That's what I was expecting. He just comes in and as explosive and strong as he is, as young as he is, he was going to outwork Joyce, and instead we ended up seeing Joyce outsmart and outlast the young prospect. he stays composed, and I love seeing what Joe Joyce was doing, where right off the bat, he established that jab. Every so often, he would take a swing at the body, but it didn't happen much throughout the fight. Instead, he would send the single jab down the tunnel, sometimes doubling it up, and oftentimes mixing it up with a double left jab, followed by a single left jab with the timing, and then followed by a right straight down the pipe. And that timing, that pace, kept throwing Dubois off. The pace was fairly good, contrasting styles, but the pace of the fight was set from the beginning, and both of them ended up being willing to keep that pace up, and it made for a fun fight. It made for a fun showdown between the two. They showed the best of each other, and again, the experience won, and I think was a key factor in this fight. The other thing that I started noticing around the 7th round, if you guys go back and look at this fight, as the 7th round concludes, the camera pans to Daniel Dubois' corner, and you see the face of Dubois staring at his trainer. As he's getting direction from the trainer, he's staring right at him. Not listening to him, not looking at him, but just staring, like with a blank stare, a look of concern, and slight confusion, almost as if this fight was taking a toll mentally on him, as he's accustomed to getting these opponents out of there. And why was Joe Joyce taking this power and not showing any signs of wavering or giving in? And it looks like it started playing a mind game on him at that point. As they enter the 8th round, he continues to do work. Now, right before the 8th round, that camera pans over to Joe Joyce's corner, and it caught my eye of how composed he was, how relaxed he was. He drops his shoulders, he's breathing, he's trying to catch his breath, taking deep breaths, looking at the trainer, and actually having a conversation with his trainer, acknowledging what the trainer is telling him and the instruction that he's giving him. That leading into the 8th round, that level of composure, that level of that sense of security and comfort that Joe Joyce approaches these fights with is a testament to why he's been successful thus far. The 8th continues, the 9th continues, and we start seeing effects of Daniel Dubois' eye and the effects that the inswell is taking on his skin and on his eyelid, versus how little Joe Joyce gave that eye time to rest. As soon as Dubois would get off the corner, he was quick. Joyce was quick to greet him with the jab. Even if he missed the jab, he was very good with that jab. He kept grazing the eyebrow. Even if it wasn't a full connect, he would still tap it, and it was that constant contact that never left. It never allowed the inswell to take its effect and for the skin to be able to react, for the blood cells to be able to be able to work in the favor of Dubois, allowing that eye to stay open. Instead, he saw it. Joyce saw this, and he started just attacking that side over and over and over. And he was very consistent from the onset of the fight up until the fight got stopped. He was very consistent with his jab. He was quick to attack it. He recognized where the deficiency was, and he didn't let off. He didn't take his foot off the gas and stayed on track. And it was impressive to see. When the stoppage happens, it's another note that I took away. As the stoppage happens, Joyce lands this jab, and it's a damaging jab to that left eye. You see the pause on behalf of Dubois, and then almost as if there's a brief second of hesitation, and he takes the knee. As he takes the knee, he looks down. You see him look up at the opponent, at Joyce, looks at the referee, and then glances at his corner. And meanwhile, he's fully conscious, so he's listening to this count happen as he's rotating his head and his eyesight, and then he makes an attempt to get up, but it was too late. It was too late, and they waved the fight off. He didn't answer the call. He didn't answer the count, and the fight was called off, right? Victory for Joe Joyce. I wish there was an angle, and I looked. I couldn't find it. If any of you find it, let me know. Shoot me the video. either on Twitter or on Instagram. Let me know if you guys find it. You could even email the show and send me the clip. If you guys find I was looking for an angle in which the camera was not focused on Dubois, but rather on his corner. I'm so curious to see if the corner was instructing him to stay down or if they were instructing him to get up. And by the time he realized it, the count got out of hand and he still made an attempt to get up, knowing that it was already at a reach, at a 9 count, followed by the 10 as the referee begins to wave it off. So I was really curious to see if I could find an angle in what the corner was instructing him, if they were telling him to get up because of the count, or if they were telling him just to stay down and then he realized it and he made his own attempt at getting up, or if he actually ended up recapping and listening to the corner, but it was just too late by the time that he processed everything. So if any of you guys find it, let me know. Fun fight. I walk away with a sense of satisfaction, and the biggest message that I could deliver from this recap and from this fight is to congratulate UK boxing. UK boxing has been producing for the last few years great prospects, great heavyweight fighters, and they are in a good place at the moment. So congratulations to UK boxing, and they continue providing these type of and producing these type of prospects and these type of quality fighters that are only making the landscape of the heavyweight division that much more enjoyable for us fans. So thank you guys again for tuning in to the Tomatolito show, and I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Take care.